Hi all, I'm Dr. Jayaprada. Today we are going to see about database system architecture. In the first three videos of database management system, we have seen the part 3, part 2, part 1 introduction videos of database management system, and today we are going to see about the database system architecture. So database management system design upon its architecture. So the very basic client server architecture is used to deal with a large number of PCs, web servers, database servers and other components that are connected to the networks. So client-based server architecture consists of many PCs and workstations that are connected through the network. So the database management system network depends upon how users are actually connected to the database to get their request done. So here we are going to see the complete architecture of database system, and then here we have 5 layers. The first one is all the different users, and the second one is the tools and what are all the programs or the interface actually each users use, and the third one is the query processor, and the fourth one is a storage manager, and the fifth one is the disk storage. So here in the first layer we are going to see about all 4 users. So users are actually differentiated by the way they expect to interact with the systems, and I could say like the application programmers. The application programmer, they do not use any inbuilt tools or already available tools. They are computer professionals who write application programs. Application programmers can choose any tools in order to develop the user interfaces. So they make their own application programs. They might use a RAD tool to construct and reports without actually writing program, but usually they write a programs here, or they might use some tools also. And then when you come to the sophisticated users, we call analysts as the sophisticated users. They interact with the system without writing any programs. They just use the query tools in order to access the database. Okay, so they form their request in a database through a query language. Also, they submit each such query to the query processor, whose function is to break down the DML queries into the DML statements or the instructions that the actually storage manager can understand. And then when we come to the naive user, he is also called as unsophisticated users, who actually interact with the system by invoking any of the applications which is already been written, that is, which is written previously. For example, the naive user can actually use a program called transfer. So a bank teller who needs to transfer some $50 from account A to account B, he invokes a program called transfer. So he invokes a program called transfer and asks the bank teller, to transfer the amount from account A to account B, or account A needs to transfer the money to the account B. So this can be done by invoking a program called transfer. So naive users are unsophisticated users who actually use the already inbuilt applications, or by invoking one of the applications that has been already written. And then the fourth user is a very major one, database administrator. He is a coordinator of all the activities of the database system. Database administrator have a very good understanding of the whole enterprises, what are the sources needed and what are the information needed, everything. So I could say the database administrator duties includes various things. I could say the schema definition, where the DBA creates the original database schema by executing a set of data definition languages, which is called DDL. We'll be seeing in our forthcoming videos. And then the storage structures and the access method definitions, who needs to access all those steps. And then the physical organization modification, if there is storage is needed or anything needs to be done in the database, any design needs to be changed or modified, everything will be taken care by database administrator. And even the which person need to access, so such a person can have write access to the table, can have read access to the table. So all the access, authority access can be monitored by the database administrator. He have all the access. And then integrity constraints. So basic integrity constraints also will be managed by the database administrator, all the monitoring performance, and he needs to respond for all the changes in the requirements. So all these things needs to be done by the database administrators. So whatever I have explained about database administrator is actually explained very clearly in the forthcoming slides. You can just go through the slides and then you can have a look into it. So whatever I've explained now, everything I've actually detailedly explained in the architecture. Okay. So now let us get into the query processor. Which is the most important, one of the most important layers, which is called the third layer. So the query processor will accept query from users. Any of these user, query processor will accept the query, and then he'll try to solve it by accessing the database. Okay, so it will accept the query from the users and solve it by accessing the database. And then the parts of the query, we have three important parts, which is called DDL interpreter, and the other one is DML compiler, and the third one is query evaluation engine. What DDL interpreter does? So this DDL interpreter, it actually interrupts the DDL statement, data definition language, which is create, alter, drop, truncate. So all those things we'll be seeing in our next videos. So this DDL interpreter, this will actually send by the database administrator. So the database administrator will be using the administrator tools to send some DDL statements, because creating a table, selecting some data from the table, everything database administrator have the rule. A normal person cannot create an instance or a table in the database. Only administrator can actually have all the access. Only he can create or select or alter something, he can do it, right? So what happens? Database administrator, he actually sends the queries through the DDL interpreter and records the information in the data dictionary. As database administrator have access for all the layers here, so he actually interrupts the DDL statements, and then the data will be stored in the data dictionary. Okay, and then DML compiler, it is data manipulation language. This also we'll be seeing in our next videos. Very elaborately we'll be seeing it. So this DML compiler, it actually sophisticated uses the query tools, and through query tools the query language will be the queries will be sent to the DML compiler, and then this query language, the query that is generated by the sophisticated user, will be actually converting the query language into the low level instructions that the query evaluation engine can understand. So the query language that is generated by the sophisticated users will be sent to the DML compiler and organizer, and this DML compiler will actually break into the low level instructions such that the query evaluation engine can actually understand. So query can be usually translated, this query for a particular single query, a query can be translated into n number of alternate executive plans for one query. So for one query that is being generated by the or sent by the sophisticated user, for that query you can have n number of alternative evaluation plan for the same query result. So and that query evaluation engine will select the best plan for the query optimization. What will be the best plan? The lower cost plan. It will check all the evaluation plan for such a query. So whichever will have a lower cost, that will be considered as the best plan, and that will be selected by the query evaluation engine. And then the application programmer also will be writing some programs, and then that will be sent to the compiler and linker, and from compiler and linker will send it to the application program code, and through that it will be sending to the query evaluation engine, and query evaluation engine again it will select the best query optimization, and then it will execute. Also the naive users also invoke any of the application interfaces, and that will be sent to the application programmer, and through application program object code it will be sent to the query evaluation engine. So whatever the process is done by all the all the users, everything is finally sent to the query evaluation engine. See here in database administrator also, a line is coming to the DML queries, and that will be sent to DML compiler and then query evaluation engine. So whatever the users, they are actually doing something, they want to send query or using tools or writing program or invoking the inbuilt functions already available, everything is finally reaching the query evaluation engine, and whatever they are doing, a lot of n number of query evaluation plans will be generated, and then that will be the best evaluation plan will be actually selected by the query evaluation engine. And then the next fourth layer is your storage manager. So the storage manager is a program module which acts like a interface between the data stored in a database and the application programs. Also, the query is actually submitted here. The query is submitted to this system after processing, and then the storage manager interacts with the file manager. Storage manager have 4 types of managers here, and finally the storage manager is the most important person and responsible for retrieving, storing and updating data in the database. Okay, so I could say you have 4 storage manager here, which is a transaction manager, which is authorization and interaction integrity manager, file manager, buffer manager. So what is authorization and integrity manager does? It checks for the integrity constraint. What is the integrity constraint? It's nothing but the balance should not be less than 0, right? So it should not be less than 0. Also, the authority of users, who are all the authority of users that can access the data, who have eligible to access the data in a particular table or in particular wherever the schema or all those things. And the next one is authorization. Authorization only. I was saying like it is having it will be checking the integrity constraint, where it will be checking the who can access it, who cannot access it, and also the whether the balance should be not less than 0. All those stuff will be checked by the authorization and integrity manager. And then when you come to the transaction manager, so it ensures that database should remain in a consistent state. Okay, although there are system failures such as hardware or any software failures. Also, concurrency transaction access is also ensured. Concurrency transaction is in a account multiple transaction can happen, but there should not be any discrepancies in the due to the multiple transaction, concurrent transactions. So all those things are actually taken care by concurrency transactions. All those concurrency transaction process and the problems will be handled by the transaction manager, where this and all will be seeing in a very detailed videos in our forthcoming videos. And then the next one is the file manager. The file manager, it manages the allocation of space on disk storage and the data structures. It is also used to represent the information stored in the disk. You can ask me, you said in the introduction video, the file management system have a lot of drawbacks, so that is where we move to database management system. But still you're saying file manager is also playing a major role. Yes, file manager plays a very major role in the storage manager, because data will be stored in files. But however, this file manager will follow the basic structure, and this follows the instruction given by the storage manager of the database management system. So the drawbacks in the file management system are actually overcome here in the database management architecture. And then the buffer manager, who is responsible for retrieving data from disk storage into main memory, because it enables the database to handle different data sizes, because this is going to handle a very bigger size of data. So obviously this buffer manager is needed to handle the various sizes of various data sizes that are much larger than the size of the main memory even. And then we have in the disk storage, we have 4 important data structures that are actually implemented by storage manager. That is data, indices, data dictionary, statistical data. So data is nothing but data files are actually the database itself. It's actual database. And then data dictionary is nothing but it stores the metadata about the structure of the database. And then indices, you know what is indices? It provides a fast access to the data items, as the database handles a large volume of data, right? So it will be like a kind of index. In a book you have an index, so by seeing the index you can actually access the content inside very quickly, the same way. And the statistical data, it contains the statistics of all the informations. So whatever I have explained you, everything I have put it in the slide. So it is there in the slide. So whatever I have explained, I have given it here. See here, the query processor, the parts of the query processor, DDL interpreter, DML compiler, query evaluation engine, everything I have explained you, I have given it in the video also. That is, in the video you can see all the content that I have explained. If you want to take notes, you can see this, you can pause, and then you can take the notes. So I have explained everything by seeing the architecture, so that by moving the cursor for each and every items, I could easily clearly explain you. That is why I've just made one slide. I was keep on explaining you with the one slide. So the remaining and all I have explained here. You can actually get into it, and then you can easily take a notes here. Thank you so much. You can stay remind to see all my updates. I'll be explaining about the remaining DDL, DML, DCL, and more a lot in our videos, forthcoming videos. So you could see the introduction part videos, description link. There is video link in the description box. I'll put it in the description log. You can check it out. Thank you.